ESPN Tower right over at Rogers Center. They are opening the roof here as the Marlins and the Blue Jays get set to go. The Fish last night blitzed by the Blue Jays. The big bats of the Jays were too much last night in Game 1. This would be Game 2. Dan Herron and Mark Burley. What a matchup we've got tonight. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz, along with Tommy Hutton. Welcome inside the Rogers Center. Herron, Burley. You know, the Fox tracks that tracks the pitch and the speed, we might just disable the speed part tonight.
Well, the Fox tracks will be good, but you're right about the speed part. I don't think I saw any scouts come into the ballpark with radar guns tonight.
Now, Mark Burley has cutters. He has changeups. And another thing that he's used quite well his entire career, his glove. He has been one of the best fielding pitchers of his era.
Mark Burley has won 4 Gold Gloves. He's been an all-star 5 times. He's made some spectacular plays. Just a terrific fielder. He finds ways to win games, and he's found a lot of ways over the years with that glove. 14 straight years, 200 innings. 14 straight years, 30 starts. 14 straight years making plays like that, and 14 straight years of 10 or more wins. 16th Major League season. Mark Burley's still going strong. I'll tell you how strong. He's working right now on back-to-back complete games.
Now, in a few years, another announcer might be saying the same thing about Dan Herron. He's almost on the same career track as Burley. Herron's sort of a right-handed version right now, and he's been Miami's best starter this year.
Well, if you think of Dan Herron, you're talking about 10 straight years of 10 or more wins, 10 straight years of 30 or more starts. Where he gets hurt sometimes is with the home run ball. He's given up 11 home runs this year, but the good news, 8 of those have been solo shots. He faces a home run hitting club tonight.
Yeah, I don't know if he can keep the ball in the ballpark, but the way Herron has pitched, gives up a solo homer, no worries. So, it's the Marlins, it's the Blue Jays, it's Game 2. John Gibbons says, hey, where are you going? You don't want to miss this matchup. Dan Herron, Mark Burley, Marlins, Blue Jays, north of the border. And by AutoNation. Save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit AutoNation.com. In Toronto, the roof is open. They opened the roof about a half an hour ago, and it's a glorious sight here in Toronto. The light coming in, the skyscrapers around on an email and Twitter Tuesday. Our hashtag Baseball World, International Baseball. And if you've got photos, memories, or thoughts on baseball outside of the U.S., let us know. Just hashtag it Baseball World. You can email us at foxmarlins@gmail.com, at Fox Marlins on email and on Twitter. Mark Buehrle, just like the weather, dependable. The lefty, 7-4. You see the ERA. That is not indicative of how well he has pitched of late. He's got 17 consecutive scoreless innings and 2 straight complete game wins. And he works quickly. First pitch brought to you by Pinch a Penny. And it's a strike. It is 0-1 to D. Gordon.
Yeah, be ready for lots of strikes from Mark Buehrle.
Gordon pulls a ground ball to first. Justin Smoke is there tonight. And he steps on the bag. Miami's lineup is brought to you by JM Lexus. Yes, Ichiro is in there. You've met D. Gordon. Here comes Martin Prado. Giancarlo Stanton homered last night. Jeff Baker in there against the lefty. Marcelo Zuna, Christian Yelich, JT Realmuto, Danny Echeverria, and Ichiro in the 9 spot is the DH.
John Gibbons has a good defense out there, knowing how Buehrle works. Justin Smoke outstanding at first base.
Here's Prado now. And Prado takes down low. Angel Hernandez calling balls and strikes. Scott Berry at first. Ted Barrett at second. Chris Conroy at third. Prado last night 1 for 4. And he fouls that one back. How quick is Mark Buehrle? Well, he's the fastest in baseball. 16.2 seconds between pitches. That is quicker than anybody in the game.
Well, let's give you the scouting report. I think you know him if you followed the Marlins in 2012. He was 13-13. A lot of strikes. Changeup has sink to it, and he's got a great pickoff move. Not to mention 4 Gold Gloves.
He's almost impossible to steal second against. Counts 2-2. He throws the cutter. He throws the change. And he gets you to chase and swing at pitches you really don't want to swing at.
And even those that he missed, it didn't miss by much.
Prado drills that to center field. Pilar back, has room, and makes the catch.
Well, we talked briefly about the Blue Jays defensively. It's a good defense tonight. A few changes. Colabello, who's hot offensively, is in left. Kevin Pillar, Jose Bautista. Donaldson is steady. Reyes at short. Ryan Goins at second, and Justin Smoke, going back to last year, has gone 75 games without an error. Deanna Navarro catches Mark Buehrle.
Giancarlo Stanton takes outside. This is an interesting matchup. Remember, Stanton struggled against Chris Russin, the lefty in Colorado, and he threw a cutter, and he threw it well, and Stanton drills one left field and deep, and gone.
Don't think he got it all.
No, it didn't sound good off the bat, but he got enough of it to get it out of here, and Miami has a 1-0 lead. And for Stanton, that is number 20.
And momentarily, that puts him in the lead. You know, I honestly do think he may have hit that a little on the end of the bat.
He did.
Off speed. He's so strong. So strong.
Now Jeff Baker. So it's Buehrle who blinks first. That's the 10th home run of the year that Mark Buehrle has given up. And there is Stanton atop the leaderboard.
Had a chance briefly to talk with a longtime skipper of the Jays, Cito Gaston, who told me he loves watching Giancarlo Stanton hit.
Cito Gaston, one of those managers, also a great hitting coach and a great manager to play for if you were a hitter.
Managed the World Championship teams here, 92, 93. Does some work in the front office for the Jays now.
1-2 pitches in. Baker had a couple of hits in that start against the lefty. On the level of excellence is Cito Gaston. That's a strike. And Baker gotta have to hustle. Picking it up as Navarro is thrown down to first. Gets by Smoke. That's a really odd sequence. It looked like a strike that was boxed by Navarro. Angel Hernandez called it strike 3. Baker couldn't believe that and then realized the ball had gotten by Navarro.
So it'll be a pass ball because it was a strike. Baker a little surprised. The throw is short hop Smoke, who can't pick it.
Fox tracks it was a strike. But that's umpires are instructed, call it where it's pitched, not necessarily where the catcher catches it.
Or doesn't catch it in that case.
Here's Ozuna now. And Burley catches the corner, and it's 0-1. Here's a look at the pitch again. Watch Navarro.
Boy, he gets fooled. Kind of looked out at the mound as if he were fooled.
Here's the 0-1. And Ozuna fights that one into right field. And that lands for a base hit. You know, watching that video again of the pitch, I didn't see the first time Navarro actually reaching back for another baseball, it looked like. Feeling that it wasn't going to be a strike. Watch this. Watch Navarro after the pitch bounces off his glove.
Wait a minute. He said, wait a minute, that wasn't a foul ball. It was a pass ball.
So a strikeout and a pass ball, a single, and here is Yelich. Yelich fouls it at the plate. There aren't a lot of hitters that have at bats against Burley. It was Stanton's first at bat. It was Gordon's first at bat. And this is Yelich's first at bat.
Ozuna's first at bat with a base hit. This year, not always the case with Mark Burley, but this year left-handers are hitting over 300 against Burley.
Oh, 0-2. Yelich a little tapper over the middle. Goins has it, and he just gets Yelich at first. Miami's on the board, and it's Big G who does it again. His 20th. Giancarlo gives Miami a 1-0 lead. Center stage, and this is the lineup, and it's a fearsome one, especially in this building. Jay and Lexus brings you the batting order of the Blue Jays. Jose Reyes, Josh Donaldson homered last night. Jose Bautista has hit 11 this year, and he's on a hot streak. Edwin Encarnacion is the DH. He has good numbers against Herring. Chris Colabello has the longest hit streak in baseball at 18 games. Justin Smoke, Deanna Navarro, Kevin Pillar, and Ryan Goins. Here is Jose Reyes. Reyes a liner, and Gordon has it, and it almost sneaks out of his glove. It's a loud out, number one.
I think you're going to see both teams be aggressive because both pitchers throw a lot of strikes. There are the numbers for Dan Herron. He has been steady. He has been the stalwart of the rotation all year. Try to pick up win number 7 tonight.
To
Got
do
to
that,
win his last time. Remember, he gave up that Junior Lake home run. I think you remember that.
That's right. He beat the Cubs 7-3. Beat Matt Harvey before that 4-3. John Lester actually was the starter against the Cubs. So Herron has beaten 2 really good starters in his last 2 times out. Josh Donaldson, long home run in last night's ball game, blasting it off the facing in center field of the second deck. Auburn University, breakout guy with Oakland, and a guy that you suspect Oakland really misses. The A's struggling this year.
How about Oakland at one time having Donaldson and Yoenis Cespedes in the lineup?
At one time is the key phrase.
Yeah, at one time.
Cespedes, of course, dealt to get Lester last year. Donaldson coming over in a 4-player deal, a 5-player deal, 4 of them going back to Oakland. 3 prospects and Brett Lawrie. Herron thought he had a strike. The count is 3-2. Angel Hernandez will keep an eye on the strike zone for both. That's just off. 3-2 coming. That is strike 3 called. Donaldson obviously looking for something else. 87-mile-an-hour fastball.
That's good pitch. Ball had a little movement. Caught Donaldson by surprise. Check on that Marlins defense, which continues to make terrific plays. Yelich, Ozuna, and Stanton in the outfield. Prado, Echeverria, Gordon, Jeff Baker around the infield, and the youngster, Real Muto, handling Dan Herron.
Strike 1 to Jose Bautista. Just about every Blue Jay is on some kind of streak or some kind of run. 12 straight for Bautista. And he's reached base in 18 straight games. And in those 18 games, 5 homers, a .344 average, and a .469 on base. There's that trademark big uppercut swing. To Bautista's credit, he is a slugger, but he's also a guy that usually has a high on base. See his career numbers against Herron. Joey Bats pops it up. Baker gives way to Gordon, who makes the catch, and Dan Herron goes 1-2-3 through the first. 1-0 Miami. the Blue Jays win, they would pull even to 500. But Mark Buehrle giving up a first inning home run to who else? Giancarlo Stanton. And it's 1-0 Miami. JT Realmuto, Danny Echeverria, and Ichiro. And Buehrle bends in a strike. Realmuto 1 for 4 last night. So Buehrle's on a run. A nice run. Early in this season, he wasn't pitching well, but he was getting wins. Now all of a sudden he's pitching lights out. Much like the last matchup, Mark Buehrle and Dan Herron also share the distinction of starting an all-star game. Buehrle's was 2005 in Detroit. Realmuto rifles one in the gap. Over for it is Colabello, picks it up. And it's a base hit, a single to lead off the second for Miami's catcher. We have emails and we have tweets. And I will throw out the ceremonial first one. It's #BaseballWorld. We're talking international baseball. I know this is international baseball, but it's a spot we haven't talked about. And that is Batavia. This is from Hoopengarden. Love your commentating. Just keep talking about all the minor league teams affiliated with the Marlins. You never talk about the Muck Dogs of Batavia. Echeverria shoots it up the middle. Goins. Reyes. And that's a double play. Both guys, Mark Buehrle and Dan Herron, will feed off of that.
Well, Batavia half-season league, correct?
Right.
So they'll get started soon now that the draft has taken place and the youngsters are sent out to start playing.
Single A team on a short schedule. They are affiliated with the Marlins, and they sent us, it's Sherwin Hoopengarden. Thank you, Sherwin. Send us a link. You can Google that. Batavia Muck Dogs. Now Ichiro. These two guys have faced each other a lot. Of course, Buehrle, a long time in the American League with the White Sox before that 1 year in Miami. Back in the American League now. And Ichiro, 63 at bats.
That's incredible.
Gets a breaking ball, blasts it to left. Colabello is there, and he makes the catch. And Buehrle works a brief second inning. 1-0 Miami. Marlins and Yankees on Monday, June 15th and Tuesday, June 16th at Marlins Park. You can save money, get the best seats available with a prorated season ticket plan. 1-877 Marlins, or go to marlins.com today. Dan Herron delivers. Edwin Encarnacion back in the lineup tonight, and he takes a strike.
I tell you, we've talked about these two pitchers. And one of the things that really impresses me, number one, quick outs, always impressive. To do what they've done, you obviously have to stay healthy. Dan Herron was on the disabled list for the first time in his career in 2012, and he went on the DL in 2013, just 2 times. Mark Burley has been on the disabled list with a broken bone in his left foot just once. That was in 2005.
Durable, dependable, and very, very effective. Herron's career, 148, 124. And he misses down low to Chris Colabello. 18-game hit streak. Colabello got everything started last night with an RBI hit. And he had the walk-off hit on Sunday to win it. A 2-run single in the bottom of the 9th to beat the Astros.
Yeah, they can't get him out of the lineup. He was at first base last night, left field tonight, because of the way he's hitting.
A guy who toiled 7 years in independent baseball, finally got to Minnesota and the big leagues. Last year he hurt his thumb and tried to play through it and didn't hit much and was released. But he's found a home here. He tore it up in the minors in April and hasn't stopped hitting since they called him up.
Between Dan Herron and Mark Burley, 354 wins and almost 5,500 innings pitched.
They're very similar in their career track, the way they get hitters out. And he gets Colabello on a swinging strike.
Now, in Burley's mind, Dan Herron's probably a hard thrower. Because Dan can get to 88. Yeah. Burley, hangs around 85.
And earlier in his career, Herron did throw in the 90s, and he had a devastating split. We're talking to Chuck Hernandez, and Hernandez remembers being in the bullpen, warming Herron up in San Francisco, getting ready for the All-Star game, and just remembers the electric stuff he had that night. He truly has had to make adjustments, just as Burley has throughout his career. Here's big Justin Smoke.
That was something you and I talked about last night, adjusting when you get to this level, and these two guys have.
Smoke, a big bat that never quite got it going, either in Seattle or in Texas. He was the principal piece when Seattle traded Cliff Lee. Texas sent Smoke back. Seattle waited for the bat to come, and it never really arrived. But he has had his moments here as a Blue Jay.
Yeah, he's had years of 19 home runs. He had a year of 20, but a very low batting average in those seasons.
High pop, and with the shift, Yelich coming a long way over, and he makes the catch. 1, 2, 3, go the Blue Jays. Yeah, we'll get to the emails and tweets when we get back. did. Do we even need to introduce him? I don't think so. We're in Toronto. It's 1-0. Marlins on top. Just in case, the great one, Wayne Gretzky, is here. Joe Carter, the Blue Jay great, as Tommy described last night, has a big golf tournament tomorrow. And there are a ton of celebrities in the house, including the great one. Dan Marino is here. Joe Carter. D. Gordon chops it to first. That's exactly what he did in his first at bat.
Yeah, there's Joe. Emmett Smith, Ozzie Smith.
Snoop Dogg threw out the first pitch. He's the entertainment tomorrow. A great tradition in Toronto is the Joe Carter golf outing.
You know, Wayne Gretzky has a son in the Cubs organization playing in Burlington in Low A this year.
Here's Martin Prado.
Trevor. Probably a good thing. It's tough to follow in your father's footsteps if he's Wayne Gretzky. So you go to another sport.
Emails and tweets. Let's throw in a Giancarlo one.
And I have one after your email.
It's from Fitz and Davey. Notice that after a Marlins player hits a home run and rounds third base, Lenny Harris does a handoff move like a quarterback to a running back in football. Liner to center. Pilar is there. That used to be a Bo Porter move, right?
Yeah, Bo Porter. So Lenny's brought it back.
Giancarlo has taken a few handoffs.
Got a great tweet from John, retired U.S. Army at Saranac. There's the handoff. John says, I can sit and watch Mr. Stanton perform miracles with the bat every night. You know what, John? So can we.
Breaking ball for a strike. Stanton last night was really locked in. 2 doubles, a 2-run homer. And that is a mean rip. It's 0-2. The homer was to left. He got it off the end of the bat, believe it or not. Burley pounds him in. It was the cutter in that was the pitch that Russin used to strike Stanton out 4 times. And that cutter comes back and catches the plate. Burley gets a strikeout. Miami down in order. Headed to the bottom of the third. 1-0 Miami.
Run from Giancarlo Stanton. It's an email and a Twitter Tuesday all night long. We're going to be taking your tweets and emails. And our special hashtag for tonight is Baseball World. And for good reason. If you take a look at the Marlins, they lead Major League Baseball in international players. 8 countries all together represented. So fans, this is your time to shine. Tell us, where are you watching the game from tonight? Send in those pictures. Your tweet just might make the broadcast. Rich, Tommy?
All right, Jessica, thank you. Dan Herron, who was made quick work in his first 2 innings, misses inside to Dioner Navarro,
who is in the lineup, even though his career 1 for 17 against Dan Herron.
Breaking ball, ground ball, and it's just foul, just wide of the bag. Navarro is from Venezuela. We have an international tweet. Robert wants to know, any chance Major League Baseball will play any more games in Puerto Rico?
I think that's a chance. I think there's a chance we'll see some games, maybe exhibition games in Cuba as well.
That's a swing called by the home plate umpire, Angel Hernandez. And of course it was historic, the San Juan series, the Marlins and the Mets. Edwin Rodriguez was the interim manager. During the course of the series, Rodriguez would be named the full-time manager, the first full-time manager from Puerto Rico.
One of the many ballparks that Giancarlo has hit home runs in too.
Hiram Bithorn Stadium. Kevin Pillar. A little baseball trivia. Major League Baseball has played 5 foreign countries. Can you name them? Here's the 0-1. Mexico.
Australia.
Canada.
Canada.
Japan.
Japan.
There's a 1-1. Well, the Marlins.
How many we have? 4?
Marlins played an exhibition game in Panama. I don't think that doesn't count as an exhibition game. Big swing and a miss by Pilar, but a couple of walks and a couple of hits last night. Two and 2. We're missing 1.
Well, we just talked about it.
Wait a minute. Puerto Rico's.
It's U.S. territory. Kids can be drafted out of Puerto Rico.
But in the
in the Major League Draft.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you on that one. That threw me too. Prado to his left.
As trick questions, Rich.
Cuts it off and gets him at first. It's just like tonight's starters, Dan Herron and Mark Burley. They'll trick you a little bit. They'll finesse you a little bit.
Get you off your game just a little.
I didn't write it. So.
This is an international, but Diana at D. Hernan 851 says she's going to be visiting Cincinnati and the upcoming series the Marlins have there, and it'll be her 17th ballpark that she's visiting.
Ryan Goins, 27-year-old out of Round Rock, Texas. Played his college ball at Dallas Baptist, which had a nice run in the NCAA tournament. Fourth-round pick back in 2009. Freddie Sanchez Ben Zobrist, also from Dallas Baptist. That's a really good breaking ball from Herron. And the count is 1-2.
And you're right about, in talking about Dan Herron and his adjusting, probably don't see as many of those tumbling splitters that he used to throw. He'll throw once in a while. But the curveball, the cutter.
That one's going to reach the seats. Count stays 2-2. Sure is a different ballpark with the roof open. And it really feels like you're in downtown Toronto. It's one of the things you appreciate about Marlins Park that is different from other retractable roof ballparks. You can't really see out of this ballpark except for a few buildings that peek over the top. But at Marlins Park, you can actually see the downtown skyline. You can't do that really in Arizona or Seattle, Milwaukee, Houston. Count full now, 3-2. Popped him up. Echeverria makes the catch. Dan Herron has retired all 9 that he's faced. And it's 1-0 Miami. On Thursday, the 11th, the series begins at 7:10. Seniors 55 and older get free tickets on Senior Free Ticket Thursdays, presented by Wellmax Medical Centers. Visit your local South Florida Subway restaurants. Get a coupon for a $5 ticket. Jeff Baker leads it off against Mark Burley. Baker, Marcell Ozuna, and Christian Yelich. And a strike from Burley. It's 1-1.
Couple of folks watching from the UK, watching the game right now. I write for you and Robert over the UK watching us. Saw a Giancarlo shot.
Pitch misses away. It's one thing we've learned over the years, doing first the emails, then incorporating Twitter, is that people watch Major League Baseball all over the globe. Baker's chopper backing up Donaldson, long throw, and he gets it. And you realize the global reach that this game has, not only down into South America, but out into Europe, big in the Netherlands, and then back obviously in Asia, all the way down to Australia, where baseball has become popular. The Dodgers and the Diamondbacks playing there last season.
See, we're getting all kinds of tweets now, Rich, on the faux pas of including Puerto Rico.
We pointed that out.
Yeah, we did.
We go on record. We were immediately threw up a yellow card. One. And it's 2-1.
Mark Burley, the author of a perfect game and also a no-hitter. Threw the perfect game back in 2009 against Tampa Bay. Threw a no-hitter against Texas in 2007.
Burley misses away. This pace of play stuff fits right in with Mark Burley. He should have been a special advisor to the commissioner on the whole issue. Ozuna to right, he hits it pretty well. Bautista goes back and just short of the wall makes the catch. We talked about Australia last year. More and more Australians finding their way into Major League Baseball. Our good friend Craig Shipley, the first
nice to have him at the top of the list.
Great scout for the Red Sox and now for the Diamondbacks. The Olympics in Sydney had a dramatic upset win by USA over Cuba in the gold medal game. Major League Baseball opened an academy. Australia won a silver medal in 2004. And of course, the hallowed Sydney cricket grounds, I believe, is where the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks play. Christian Yelich to right. That's deep and gone. Way gone. Yelich blasts one to right. His third of this season. And a pair of solo homers as Miami up 2-0.
Rich, on Marlins Live, we talked about no doubters. And I think that could be put on the list. A Christian Yelich no doubter, his third home run of the year. Told you that left-handers this year hitting over 300 against Mark Burley. Kind of flattened out, didn't break a lot, and was up. And as guys would say, other than that, was a good pitch.
That went into shallow right, going not in time. That's a heck of a play by a guy that the Blue Jays are really high on as far as his defense. Real Muto beats it out for an infield hit, his second hit of the ball game.
I didn't even think Ryan Goins would have a play. He went a long way, goes down into the slide, and actually got something on the throw. But the speed of Real Muto picks up the hit, his second hit tonight.
Now just don't get picked off, and that's something Burley does a lot of. Mark Burley has 100 career pickoffs, which is amazing because everybody knows he has a great move and he still picks guys off.
A lot of his pickoffs, almost like that, are of guys who you don't really expect to steal. They just get that little lead and they're not going to go anywhere, and they get fooled. Boy, it was great to see Christian Yelich pull the ball like that.
Burley buries a changeup outside. Echeverria bounced into a double play back in the second. They're the home run twins, Stanton and Yelich. And a strike to Echeverria. Chris wants to know, do the Marlins need just a passport to play games in Canada, or do they need a work visa? I believe just a passport. Echeverria got tied up. Reyes sweeps it on over to second, and the inning is over. But Christian Yelich goes deep, and Miami's lead is 2-0.
areas for Sunday, but when there's a train museum located right across from Rogers Center, what are you going to do? This area is actually called the Railways Land, and just to give you a little bit of history, it actually used to be part of the harbor, but then it was filled, and when Canada brought railroads into the country, this is where they were built. And as you can see, all the trains around me, now it pays homage to a part of Canada's history. So a very cool section of town located right across the street from the Rogers Center, and hey, the best part about it, there is a brewery on site. We just saw a brewery inside Coors Field. Now there's one located right across from the Rogers Center.
Thank you, Jessica. Jose Reyes is up. 0-1 pitch is in. That's the trifecta, isn't it, Hunt? Baseball, trains, and beer.
Can't beat that.
Here's the 1-1. Reyes pulls it foul.
And if you've stopped at the brewery, it's nice to have the train nearby.
I would like to say I was raised on all three, but not quite the beer part. The trains and baseball, that was a big part of my childhood.
The train's a big part of mine. My dad worked for the Southern Pacific Railroad for 40 years.
Really? Reyes pops that one up. Real Muto giving chase, and it lands just inside the Blue Jays dugout.
Rich, on this night of international talk, I'm getting a tweet from Anthony at Bucky_54. Hi guys, Aussie watching from Hong Kong. Great to catch a couple of Marlins home runs before work. Even sent a nice picture of the skyline of Hong Kong.
He's Australian.
Yeah.
Reyes gets onto that one. Stanton gets to the wall, bounces off the wall. Reyes pulls in with a double. And so the Blue Jays have their first hit. It's a leadoff double in the fourth.
Well, we talked about it last night. Jose Reyes spent a little time on the disabled list, but since he's been back, he's hit in 13 of 14 games.
There's Josh Donaldson. Donaldson struck out back in the first. To Donaldson. Donaldson was an infielder at Auburn, then became a catcher in Oakland's organization, and then went back to third base, and that's where he finally blossomed for Oakland. A big year in 2013.
Well, we talked about his rankings in the American League too. Second in total bases, second in slugging, second in RBIs.
Reyes at second. And Donaldson steps out.
8th in batting average and tied for 3rd in RBIs. So you're looking at an all-star, I would imagine, certainly from the Blue Jays.
Pulls that one foul. This is a terrific email. It's from Ireland, Limerick, Ireland. John O'Connor. You mentioned Brian Schneider last week. Did you know that he appeared on a reality show last spring? He came to Ireland and played goalkeeper in a league hurling game, which is the national pastime. At the same time, one of our hurling stars went to Miami and played a minor league spring game for the Marlins organization. We thought it was a fake email, but we researched it, and it's true. The Toughest Trade is the name of the reality show.
You're going to have to talk to Schneids about that. Get some insight from Brian Schneider, manager up in Jupiter. He'll have another opportunity to manage Jose Fernandez in his next start. Got a gentleman watching from Hastings, England.
2-2.
You have to be proper, Rich. Be very proper tonight.
Full count. All buttoned up then. Donaldson to left. Yelich has it. Reyes has to go station to station. He's held. He took a big turn. I'm not sure what Reyes was doing. Luis Rivera, the third base coach, had the stop sign all the way. Reyes apparently felt he could score. Let's watch.
I like the way Christian Yelich played it. He had to move back and play that nice hop, and he almost got it back to the infield the way an infielder would, because he knew he had to get it back there in a hurry. All of a sudden, too, a couple of well-hit balls off Dan Herron.
And the Blue Jays are set up now at the corners. Nobody out. And their big bopper is up, Jose Bautista, who popped out back in the first. Infield playing him to pull. Bautista shortens the bunt and takes a strike.
Boy, that's a surprise to everybody. See him shortening up the bunt.
A surprise or a relief? Bautista yanks it foul. The turnaround in his career, just incredible. This is his 8th year in Toronto, and it was a couple years in as a Blue Jay where all of a sudden he blossomed, and he has kept it up for 5 consecutive seasons in All-Star, starting in 2010. 35 homers last year. Ball in the dirt, and a good jump by Donaldson, and he gets to second.
Heads up base running by Josh Donaldson. Just add that to his resume as well.
Goes as a wild pitch. Now the threat of the double play is erased, and Herron with 2 strikes. The runners at second and third. Fastball, fly ball, right field. Stanton is there. Both runners tag. Donaldson's headed to third. So is Stanton's throw. It's cut, and the Blue Jays have sliced the lead in half. It's 2-1.
And by driving that ball to right field, good throw by Giancarlo, but with Bautista driving the ball to right field, it also allowed Donaldson to go second to third, so he's over there with 1 out. So the old 2-for-1 by Jose Bautista was out there for a while with Pittsburgh, but really blossomed here in Toronto.
Edwin Encarnacion, another guy whose career took off late. Though he did have some solid years in Cincinnati as a Blue Jay, he's been to 2 consecutive All-Star games. Infield's back. If he hits a ground ball here past the mound, the game should be tied. Donaldson's at third. Fly ball left. Yelich is there. It should be deep enough. Donaldson coming home, and he scores.
So a team that has all the power and hits a lot of home runs, doing some little things correctly, getting the runner over to third, 2 fly balls, 2 sac flies, produce the runs.
And the wild pitch really accelerated the inning. If you think about it, if Herron's able to keep Donaldson at first, he doesn't move up on that wild pitch, and then he doesn't go from second to third on the first sacrifice fly, which obviously put him in position to score on the second one. Chris Colabello. Herron throws a breaking ball for a strike. A swing and a miss. email from Orlando. It says, Orlando Cabrera. I don't know if it's the shortstop. What is the black stuff that gets kicked up when the ball hits the ground or when a fielder slides on the turf at Rogers Center? That is ground up tire or rubber, which anchors the field turf, the artificial surface, keeps the blades of artificial grass standing tall. The Blue Jays have tied it. They get 2 against Dan Herron here in the 4th. And a 2-2 game headed to the 5th. Florida is brought to you by Checkers. Get Checkers Authentic Philly Cheesesteak. Try the new Meatball Sub. Pick yours. By the Florida Department of Transportation, reminding you to drive sober or get pulled over. And by Lexus of Pembroke Pines. Price, service, selection. You're gonna love us. In Toronto, this is a live shot. I don't know if that's between innings entertainment or if that guy's a nut.
Well, what's he doing?
Oh, it's
wow.
on top of the CN Tower. I thought that was up on the roof here at Rogers Center. Mark Burley against Ichiro. 5th inning begins. D. Gordon and Martin Prado.
Well, Mark Burley back in the game now. I'm sure that's how he feels.
And working quickly. Ichiro fly to left. And he sends that one out to left field as well. Chris Colabello is there. He makes the catch between innings. The Joe Carter Golf Classic kind of spilled into the booth. We had 3 distinguished Blue Jay guests. Paul Beeston, longtime executive, visionary here in Toronto. Cito Gaston, 2-time world champion manager. And Devo, Devon White.
Also a Marlins connection, too. Yeah, good to see those guys. Yeah, Paul Beeston, president, CEO of the Blue Jays.
Cito Gaston, a frequent visitor. I told him to send an email on Tuesdays. He watches a lot of Marlins games. Flip to first. Goins gets D. Gordon. Burley has kept Gordon off base all 3 times tonight, and here's Prado with 2 outs.
Yeah, so have the Blue Jays. D. Gordon 0 for 4 in the ball game last night, so he's hit a little bit of a lull. Just trying to find some holes with some ground balls.
Roof open tonight. The rain has cleared. It rained this afternoon. It's turned into a beautiful night here in Toronto. And I hope the guy on top of the CN Tower holds on tight. That's a long way up.
That's not a bungee thing, is it?
No, apparently you get anchored and then you lean out. They take a picture of you and you get back and then you change your shorts. And you get a souvenir photo.
Not so
2-1
sure.
coming to Prado.
I don't know if I'd have that on my list.
That's a fair ball, and down the line it goes. Prado round first. It kicks out to Colabello, and Martin Prado will glide into second with a 2-out double and set up Giancarlo Stanton at bat.
Yeah, a 2-out double. It brings Giancarlo to the plate, and it continues Martin's hitting streak. 11 games now in a row for Martin Prado. Even Josh Donaldson couldn't make that play.
Let's see if the Blue Jays walk him intentionally. They will.
Yeah.
They will pitch to Baker and walk Stanton. Now, Stanton homered in the first. Burley struck him out in the third.
Keep in mind, though, Jeff Baker 0 for 2 tonight. But in his career, he's 6 for 16 against Mark Burley with a home run. But certainly this is the move that any manager in baseball would make.
Baker struck out and bounced to third.
And it's a move, Rich, we haven't seen as much of this year with Giancarlo. Stanton has walked 28 times. That's only the 5th time he's been intentionally walked. Last year 24.
24 times last year. So Baker now with 2 outs in the 5th. Baker's had some big hits the last 3 weeks. A couple of home runs on that last road trip. And 2 hits in his start in Colorado on Saturday. And the one thing about facing Burley, you can't be over aggressive. He will feed off of that.
That's a great analogy. He'll feed off over aggressiveness.
Reyes to Goins, and Burley pitches out of it halfway through. It's 2-2. Burley, but we're doing our best. There's how to get to us. Hashtag baseball world. And new to this world, this is from Carrie. We have welcomed our first son and future Marlins fan, born this afternoon, watching the game from our hospital room in Royal Palm Beach, Florida. Go Fish. Very nice. Congratulations. Justin Smoke, Deanna Navarro, and Kevin Pillar for the Blue Jays, who have won 6 in a row and are just a game under 500.
Got a great tweet from John. John said, I'm from Queens. More nationalities there than anywhere I know. But see, John's informative. He also said Stanton's home run, 7th home run in his last 10 games. So he's keeping track of Marlins baseball.
Smoke fouls that one back. Miami has scored on a pair of solo homers. Giancarlo Stanton and Christian Yelich. The Blue Jays have scored on a pair of sacrifice flies. Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion. Dan Herron misses away, and this Herron-Burley matchup has gone pretty much the way you would think. The game has moved quickly. They've given up some runs. Right now deadlocked at 2. Smoke swings and misses. So 1 out. Geico presents this Marlin moment. On this date, 2001, A.J. Burnett, Chris Carpenter tossed complete games in a 9-2 Marlin victory at Skydome. Burnett allowed just 2 hits, walked 1, and struck out 3. So Carpenter, wait a minute, Carpenter threw a complete game and gave up 9 runs? That's amazing.
It's either amazing or wrong. We'll have to look into that.
Navarro pulls it to second. And here comes Pilar.
More international viewers, Rich. David said, I'm walking into work at the U.S. Embassy in Tokyo watching my Marlins. Nice going, David.
Here is Pilar. And Herron throws a strike.
You can understand why the Blue Jays have been on a 6-game winning streak. You look up and down their lineup, and pretty much everybody in the lineup's hitting 8 of 9, 9 of 10. Last 9 games for Pilar, he's hitting .389. So John Gibbons, who actually spent his birthday last night, most of it in his office after getting tossed.
Up the middle, there's D. Gordon. He makes a nifty play behind the bag. Dan Herron, Mark Burley. Mano y mano. It's 2-2 into the 6th.
Twitter Tuesday, and we are taking tweets from all over the world, including this one from some baseball fans in Venezuela who love the Marlins. They just wanted to weigh in and say go fish. And we're not only getting tweets from Venezuela, how about all these other countries and cities that have weighed in? Colombia, Nicaragua, England, Ireland, Hong Kong, and Tokyo. Those are all the countries and cities, Rich and Tommy, that have been represented so far tonight on Twitter.
All right, thank you, Jessica. 2-2 ball game. 6th inning. Marcell Ozuna, big lollipop curve from Mark Burley is fouled off. Burley and Herron, and it's 2-2. Pitcher comparison in this one. Neither's been overpowering. Sort of reaching, and now trying to wave Sean Cunningham off. One of the Marlins trainers is out to make sure that it's not something that would be aggravated on a ground ball to short. You don't want to lose Ozuna for a long period of time.
No, you don't. You know, the interesting thing about these two pitchers, they both have put together such great records in their long careers, but work in such a manner you don't get an opportunity to talk about a lot of it.
We tried as much as we could before the game, rolling out the resumes of both Burley and Herron. 5-time All-Star is Burley, 4 Gold Gloves. He worked in the perfect game in the no-hitter.
How about this one? Mark Burley, first pitcher in Major League history to have 14 consecutive years of 200 innings with 61 or fewer walks.
Well, it's one of the hallmarks of both Burley and Herron. They don't walk many guys at all. Burley has intentionally walked Giancarlo Stanton in this ball game, and that's it for Miami. It's just the 16th walk he's issued. And Ozuna again kind of gimpy after that swing.
We'll have to keep our eye on that.
A little bit of a limp out of the box. Watch the finish of the swing.
And if you can't plant and drive off that back leg, you have to be careful.
Here's Yelich.
Burley's only faced the Marlins one other time. This is when he was with the White Sox. 2010. He beat Ricky Nolasco 8-0. He went 8 shutout innings in 2 hours and 8 minutes.
Breaking ball, not a strike. Burley asking. Oh, a swing, says Chris Conroy. Yelich behind it, count 1-2. Here's a look. That's close.
Well, we saw one like that last night with Jose Bautista. It was called a strike, and that's what got John Gibbons thrown out of the game. Boy, come prepared.
Yeah, I mean, especially with a kid sitting next to you. Roller out to second. Goins gets the out. Burley has the first 2 outs of this 6th inning. Marlins and Rockies start on Thursday in Miami. On Friday, it's a Corona Light Summer Beach Bash. Purchase the Summer Beach Bash package. Marlins.com/special events. Get a ticket, pair of Marlins sandals, and activities throughout the game. Post-game fireworks show presented by Waste Management. Rockies Marlins 4-game series opens on Thursday night in Miami. We have an email question wanting to know, what does JT stand for in JT Real Muto? Jacob Tyler. That's from Jerry. And tonight, Jacob Tyler Real Muto is 2 for 2. And Real Muto's got another hit. So he opened things up in Colorado, remember, with a 4 for 4 night, and he's 3 for 3 here in Toronto.
How about 8 for 15 on the road trip for Jacob Tyler? JT's had some good swings. He had that infield base hit, but the other 2 have been rockets.
Here's Adeiny Echeverria. He has had a tough time against Burley. He's bounced out twice. Muto back. Flavio from Brazil emails. He watches every game on his phone, MLB.tv. Should Andre Rienzo get a chance to start? That's right, Flavio. You've got a Brazilian on the Marlins now.
And did a great job last night.
Yes, he did. If the Marlins are able to win tonight and win tomorrow, Rienzo deserves some of the credit. 4 1/3 last night, saving the bullpen after a really short start from Brad Hand, who went 2/3 of an inning. Burley's pitch misses away. I'm sure Flavio watches some Yan Gomes games as well. There's Andre Rienzo. Runner goes, and a bouncer towards short. Reyes backhands, flips in the dirt. Safe. Echeverria beats it. Reyes was moving towards second with Real Muto on the run. And Real Muto got an excellent jump. In Miami now, first and second. Watch Reyes creep a bit.
Couple of steps, couple of shuffle steps. Probably cost him. If he's not moving towards second, I think he makes that play easier. But Echeverria gets an infield base hit. Still a good attempt by Reyes. But it brings Ichiro to the plate.
And a big at bat for Ichiro, who's 0 for 2 against a guy he's hit and hit well in his career. .429 hitter against Burley coming in. Now with 65 career at bats. Burley pours in a strike.
Talking about these two pitchers not spending much time on the disabled list. Ichiro only on the disabled list one time.
That was for an ulcer.
Yeah, he suffered through a bleeding ulcer, but it was nothing really related to. I mean, he's had banged up knees and stuff like that, but only one time on the DL.
He's behind in the count, 0-2. And Burley goes away. Jay's bullpen is active.
Now Burley at 92 pitches. And remember, we told you at the onset of the game, he's coming off back-to-back complete games. 8-0 complete game shutout in Washington, D.C. last time out.
Liam Hendricks up in the pen. Counts 2-2. Burley got out in front 0-2, and he's wasted a pair. Busted his bat. Sawed him right off. The flip. Burley just there in time to beat Ichiro. Miami leads 2, and this game is still tied 2-2. live TV channels, on the go, then cable. Yeah, Snoop Dogg throwing out the first pitch.
Snoop, drop it like it's hot.
There he is. He is part of the big night here. Joe Carter's golf event is tomorrow. All the stars are here. Snoop Dogg apparently is the entertainment tomorrow. Marcell Ozuna is out in center field. Remember, Ozuna had a bit of a hitch in the giddy-up, so to speak, as Keith Jackson would say.
Snoop's got a son that's moving on to college as a football player.
Yes, he does. He was a big youth football coach. Had a reality show about his son's recruitment as well. Dan Herron, Brian Goins, center field. Ozuna's leg tested right away, and he passes the test, glides back, makes the catch. Wouldn't you know it? I mean, Ozuna, I'm sure, went in and stretched out, probably making sure that everything was okay. And first pitch, he's got to go back and go back hard.
And he got tested, and he came through. Yeah, can you think, imagine Snoop as the coach for a kid's youth football team. I bet they had some good parties. You know, at the end of the season, season-ending party.
I'm not even going there. Here's Reyes now, who's lined out and doubled. And he takes outside. Toyota Trend. First the 1-0. Toyota Trend. There it is. 3-hit game since 2014. D. Gordon is the leader. Look at Altuve right behind him, and Reyes at 21. A lot of Gordon's work has been this year. Of course, he had the terrific first half last year and was a National League All-Star. He is still the leader. The voting in the National League released today, at least the updates. There's a liner in the gap. Ozuna on a hop, and Reyes has got a one-out hit. D. Gordon is still the starter at second base. Colton Wong has cut into his lead and is right on his tail. So if you're a Marlin fan watching tonight, or if you're just a baseball fan and you want to vote tonight, go to Marlins.com and get on that all-star ballot and vote D. Gordon at second. I mean,
you got enough Cardinals. You got all the Cardinal fans. They're going to have all St. Louis in the starting lineup. Keep voting for D. Gordon. Colton Wong not having the kind of year D. Gordon is having. Throw Echeverria in there and Giancarlo as well for some international votes tonight, too.
Here is Donaldson, and he takes outside. Although the Cardinals, not nearly as pervasive as the Royals. And there's like 7 Royals right now leading in the American League. They've passed a new law in the state of Missouri that it's mandatory you vote 35 times for either a Royal or a Cardinal. And purchase Budweiser. Maybe you have to purchase Budweiser, then you have to vote. Pitch to Donaldson. Old foul. I mean, that's a hard thrower. Roberto Ozuna.
Yeah, I heard some terrific things about Ozuna. He's really been throwing well.
Reyes certainly a threat to run. He's 9 of 9. Aaron is quick to the plate, quick to first.
Not the base stealer that he once was, but Jose Reyes still plays with a flair, plays with some excitement.
Donaldson pops it up. Baker, Gordon, a long run, and D slides, and he makes the catch. D. Gordon, who is not only leading Major League Baseball in hitting, but he is the National League leader in defensive runs saved. Watch this.
Look at how far he has to go. He's playing up the middle, well into foul territory to make the grab. Unbelievable range as to how far he had to go to get to make that catch. Wow. There he is. He's up the middle. Here he goes.
Well, a nice out to get for Dan Herron.
Wow.
And a terrific effort from D.
See,
Gordon.
we told you to vote for it.
Batista, and Reyes flinched on the throw over. Defensive run saved is a measured defensive metric. And of all second basemen in baseball, D. Gordon's at the top of the list. Reyes got a foot on the turf. He's got a much shorter lead tonight against Dan Herron than he had last night against Brad Hand.
How about the range factor on that play that D just made? Boy, think about these two pitchers tonight too. Lots of cutters from Burley and Herron.
Throw to first. From our crack staff out in the Twitterverse, Jonathan has tweeted that Box, remember the game we were talking about, A.J. Burnett, Chris Carpenter, they both threw complete games, but the score was 6-1. Up the middle, Gordon to his left, and a nice job by Dan Herron navigating around the Reyes hit. 6 in the books. 2-2 Marlins, Blue Jays. Marlins@gmail.com for an email. Hashtag Baseball World. A lot of international baseball talk tonight. James has an email. Do you think that baseball in Central America is overlooked? Well, this was Panama. This was exhibition games last year during spring training. The Marlins came, the Yankees were there, and obviously it was all about Mariano Rivera, but for the Marlins, it was a fun trip as well. Look out. There you go. In Panama.
I think the guys got to get a little tour of the Panama Canal while they were there.
Everyone that went on that trip said it was a great trip. No more Mark Burley.
Boy, this is a contrast, too. You got a hard thrower out there, Roberto Osuna, and a hard thrower who throws strikes. 29 strikeouts in 27 innings, just 7 walks.
D. Gordon 0 for 3. And he fouls that pitch back.
I like Seth tweets. He said, I'm in a bar in Colorado Springs, and I had them turn off the Rockies game and put on the Marlins game.
Way to go. Unless you're sitting next to a guy named Seabass who happens to be a Rockies fan in a bar in Colorado. No pop-up. Reyes going back, and he makes the catch.
Well, wouldn't you know too, Rich, the Cardinals are in Denver playing the Rockies, who will then, after their game tomorrow, come into Miami, and that game is delayed in Denver.
Prado leans out of the way. The count 1-0. 11-game hit streak. And Prado has extended it on this road trip with 1 hit a night. That double in the 5th, his 5th hit of the trip. Ozuna, talented arm out of the Blue Jays pen.
Yeah, Ozuna, born in Cuba, and makes his home now in Mexico.
Hasn't surrendered a homer this year. Has a nice run and strikeouts. Low ERA. Prado fouls it back, counts 2-2. San Jose Rios. And, you know, just in looking at international baseball and the international makeup of Major League Baseball, over the last 2 years, the number of Cubans in the game has really blossomed. And looks like it's going to continue to do so. Ooh, Prado took it. Ozuna thought it was a strike. 21 countries represented on active Major League rosters. Australia, Bahamas, Taiwan. And that was a strike. Prado got a break. He goes after this one. And it's into the seats.
We've had a number of tweets and emails about our thoughts 2 years after about the Marlins Blue Jays trade. And we've talked about it, and trust me, if you talk to anybody up here, they'll tell you their thoughts. We might not be able to say all of it, but you know, Bonifacio, part of that deal, he was purchased by Kansas City. Josh Johnson was 2-8 with an ERA over 6. He's gone. John Buck is gone. So Mark Burley and Jose Reyes remain. On the other hand, the Marlins have the best prospects in the game. Justin Nicolino in AAA, Henderson Alvarez. They got Latos for DeSclafani. Echeverria's at short. They got Cozart for Marisnik, and Jeff Mathis is back. So you tell me who got the better of that deal, and the Blue Jays got a lot of money they had to pay too.
3-2. Prado shoots it down the line, and it's foul.
Reyes is due $22 million the next couple of years.
Each year.
Mark Burley is 3 more years. Last 3 years, 11, 18, and 20. So there you go. So I will respond to no more tweets about the 2012 trade.
Case closed. Roll the credits. That one pulled foul. We're talking about the international makeup of Major League Baseball. Number of active major leaguers by birth country currently on 25-man rosters or on the disabled list. 675 from the United States, 85 from the Dominican Republic, 71 from Venezuela. Cuba has actually passed Puerto Rico, which is amazing. 22 Cubans, 17 from Puerto Rico, 9 from Japan, 8 from Mexico, 7 from Canada. Prado fouls it back. There are 5 from Colombia. The Netherlands Antilles, most of them really good infielders, has 5. Panama with 5. South Korea 3. Brazil has 2. Marlins have 1. Nicaragua. West Germany. Jeff Baker is one of the West Germans. He was a military kid.
It's like Bruce Bochy, who was born in France.
And the rest of the countries include Australia, Bahamas, Jamaica, Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, and Taiwan.
You know who's probably not happy at the number of Puerto Rican players going down is Edwin Rodriguez, who's done so much for baseball in that country. Young kids. What a battle Martin Prado's having.
A great battle. I reached out to Eduardo Perez today to ask him about that very reason. Why Puerto Rico has dropped. And remember when Puerto Rican kids used to be able to sign as free agents. There were scouts and academies that developed players. Now they come through the high schools, and there just doesn't seem to be as much incentive to be developed or enough infrastructure to develop the players. 3-2. Prado finally sends it out to second, and Goins throws to first in time. And here comes Stanton, and here comes our T-Mobile game changer. Last night, Giancarlo Stanton, 3 for 4. 8 of 10 parks he's visited this season. He's homered. That was his first game here. 27 of 30 current ballparks. Hasn't been to Detroit. Hasn't been to New Yankee Stadium. I'm not sure about Chicago. They face the White Sox. We're checking on that one.
Well, Bryce Harper homered tonight. So they are tied at 20. With his 50 RBIs, Stanton gets 50 in the fewest games, 59 in club history. Second fewest. The quickest to 50 RBIs in fewest game was Giancarlo.
Fastball strike.
Last year he had 54.
The homer to left off of Burley. Roberto Ozuna. And there's the slider away. And it's 0-2.
And you can see his is a hard slider. His velocity on his slider quicker than the fastballs we've seen.
It's out, and it missed the target, but it came close to the plate. You saw Navarro raise up. Remember, Stanton hit a home run on a ball like that in Colorado. And that was a strike. And there's the slider. It's 2-2. We've seen a fastball in the inside corner, and then 2 pitches out. Navarro sets up in and up, and Stanton drills it left field and deep and gone.
Goodness.
Second of the night. 21st of the season. And it's 3-2 Miami.
Toronto fans reading in the newspaper before the Marlins arrived were looking forward to seeing Giancarlo, who had never visited Toronto, never played in Rogers Center. Boy, they are getting a show.
Second time Ozuna really missed the target in that at bat. And the second time he missed, it costs him a run.
And the first home run that Ozuna has allowed.
Here's Jeff Baker, the 0-1 pitch. It's up.
Inside, up a little bit. Wants it up. It's down. It's out over the plate. He's upset, Navarro, and so is Osuna. Wants it up. And he starts to reach back and down.
It's amazing what just a small amount of space can mean against a guy like Stanton. Pitch is a strike. And it's 2-2.
21-51 for Big G.
Baker rolls one over the middle. Reyes to his left. Gets it to first and gets the out. But the Marlins get the lead. And they do it behind Giancarlo Stanton. A pair of solo shots and a 3-2 lead. Has pumped out a couple of solo homers. One against Mark Burley, one against Roberto Osuna. Dan Herron remains. And a chance for Herron, if he can bring this one home, maybe with some help from his bullpen, to pick up win number 7. Still has some big bats to get. The first is Edwin Encarnacion, who ropes one into the corner, foul.
Remember, Encarnacion sat out a few games, had some shoulder issues, had a cortisone shot, but back in there tonight as the DH. Talked a little bit to Dan Jennings about his first opportunity to manage with a DH. And yeah, it's different. Don't want to say easy, or never is. Managing is not easy, because now you don't have to look at where Herron's coming up to hit. You have to see how he's throwing. Certainly talking with Chuck Hernandez as you think about your bullpen, certainly at this time.
Mike Dunn in Miami's pen right now. Herron. That one foul back. I asked Dan about his hesitation in his windup. It's something that ever since he's been a big leaguer he's had. You see Dan Jennings. And Herron said he didn't have it in college. Oh, it's a gorgeous pitch. Brought it right back. Encarnacion barks. He's not happy. That's strikeout number 6 for Herron.
Yeah, but in college he was just thinking about his hitting. Boy, this is just perfect. There's the hesitation. There's the paint. Look how he brought that pitch back. Just enough movement to bring it back on the outside corner.
And that's a strike. He had the outside corner. You could hear something in the dugout, and that something is Encarnacion making a real racket. It's one of those where you almost want him to go back into the video room and check. There's a bouncer to short. Echeverria on to first. in time. Herron didn't have the hesitation when he got to the minor leagues either with the St. Louis Cardinals, but it was a drill in spring training where the Cardinals had all of the pitchers go into the windup and then pause.
Helps your balance.
Helps your balance. And Herron liked the drill so much that he just started doing it in games.
Many, I'm not going to say all, haven't seen all, but many of the Asian pitchers, the pitchers that come over from Japan or Korea, have that same pause.
Justin Smoke. Smoke is 0 for 2. And Herron throws a strike.
You mentioned his 6th strikeout. He has not walked a batter. The only batter that Burley walked was the intentional pass to Giancarlo.
2-1. Burley went 6, 8 hits, 2 runs, a walk and 3 strikeouts. Herron trying to get 7, has struck out 6, and he's walked no one. Now Smoke is questioning Angel Hernandez. And the crowd not happy. Now that one, just a little bit of the ball is right at that knee line, which is the hollow of the knee.
Herron was going to be tantalizing with another pitch just off the plate.
3-2 coming. Got him. Took something off. 85 miles an hour. Smoke strikes out, and Dan Herron and the Fish lead it 3-2.
From Giancarlo Stanton. We're continuing to take your tweets all throughout the course of the broadcast, and we got this really nice one from Game Time Foundation. It is a nonprofit that is located in Miami, and their goal is to help kids in both youth baseball and softball programs in Colombia. So Game Time Foundation, thank you not only for supporting the Marlins, but for giving back. And Rich, Tommy, so many more countries have weighed in. We've gotten tweets from the Netherlands, from Spain, from Brazil, from Australia. So very cool to see how many Marlins fans are located all throughout the world.
Yeah, I mean it's a great thought. There's Aaron Luke, who was 1-3 with a 4.79 ERA.
Well, we're not going to get that Ozuna matchup. Got a good tweet, Rich. It would be a good discussion for a lot of people. Jake at Jakey Jake 01. Could the Stanton Harper home run battle? It seems like they go back and forth right now. Stanton with 21. Harper hit one tonight. He's got 20. Could their home run battle bring interest in baseball back like the McGuire-Sosa home run race.
Ozuna into the bat. Bautista went back, now comes in and makes the catch.
I think if it continues, it will certainly create interest. There is no question in that.
My question is, bring baseball back from what?
Yeah, that's a good point. Baseball's at a pretty high peak right now. And at that time, it needed to be brought back.
I guess you could say, though, I mean,
talk about the '94 strike, no World Series.
And it certainly is a good question in that, could it take baseball maybe to the next level, or really open up a lot of, you know, one thing baseball has tried very hard to do is market its young stars.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier to market those young stars when they are stars and when they are really doing eye-popping things. Stanton has done those things. Harper is starting to do those things. And that's, to me, that's terrific for the game.
And Mike Trout has done those things.
You've got Stanton and Harper in the same division.
So there's a little bit of the similarity with Sosa and McGuire. They're in the same division.
Yelich trying to check his swing, can't, and he strikes out. Yelich homered in the fourth. 3 solo homers, 2 for Giancarlo, 1 for Christian Yelich. Starting pitchers for our next telecast, which is Thursday. No television tomorrow here in Toronto. Eddie Butler going for the Rockies. Marlins knocked him around last time they saw him. And David Phelps. And he had a rough time against the Rockies. A lot of rematches lined up in that series, which opens on Thursday. Now the Marlins and the Blue Jays finish this series tomorrow here in Toronto. And it's a 12:37 start. Tom Kohler, Aaron Sanchez.
JT Real Muto trying to have his second 4-hit game of this road trip. Had one in Denver. Look at the road trip numbers, 8 for 15.
Pitch misses down low. Jeff and Jazz in Fort Myers want to talk about celebrating. They think the game needs to get a little younger. Players should be able to celebrate a little more often. And they have a big home run, just like a closer celebrates when he strikes out someone in the ninth. Or when a pitcher is in a jam and he strikes someone out. That one is fouled off. You know what? I kind of see that.
So you're leaning toward Junior Lake then?
No.
Well, what did he do?
No. Yeah, there's look.
There's a fine line. I
Right.
understand that.
Right.
I understand.
Right. I'm not going that far, okay? There's a 2-2.
Hey, if you hit a walk-off home run.
And I'm not doing, who's the guy that moonwalked, you know, in major leagues? I'm not going there either.
You're not going to go Willie Mays Hayes
No.
on me.
Real Muto diving stop. Donaldson throws him out. Boy, 4 for 4 was so close. Aaron Luke, the beneficiary of a great play by Josh Donaldson. In Toronto, Miami up by a run. Miami a 3-2 lead. This used to be a juggernaut as far as attendance. The Rogers Center, home of the Blue Jays. A juggernaut not only in attendance, but it's a large TV market, and sometimes people lose sight of that. Not only is this market large, but the Blue Jays have a national television contract with Rogers Sportsnet that stretches all the way across Canada. And that, I guess, the impact of the signing of a native son to come back. The Blue Jays in the offseason acquiring Russell Martin. Martin, who was born in the Toronto area, raised in Montreal. And it certainly has become the country's team. Mike Dunn taking over for Dan Herron. First pitch fastball is up.
Which is interesting because you go back in history. At one time, the Expos were the country's team. Coming into the league in 1969.
Expos had a national television
They had a
contract.
national deal, yeah. There was not a Blue Jay team.
High pop, Prado waving, doesn't see it. Look out. And it's Echeverria. And Prado fooled everybody. Fooled me, fooled the cameraman. He was calling for it, waving for it. Mike Dunn was looking at him. And then Prado panicked because he couldn't see the baseball. Watch Prado.
That's amazing. He doesn't see it. Remember now, with the roof open, it's about twilight time. And so he lost that ball in the twilight.
Etch is laughing at him. Prado is angry.
That's the way to pick up your teammate.
Here's Pilar, and he swings and misses. I don't know about you, but for me, Prado was the first guy I saw. The ball went up, and you immediately looked to the infield to see who's calling for it.
I did the same thing you did.
And Prado was calling. Echeverria was merely wandering back into the outfield.
The guy with a little panic might have been Mike Dunn.
Pilar fouls it at the plate.
A couple of good sliders.
7 great innings from Dan Herron against an explosive offensive team here tonight. Herron, 3 hits, 2 runs. Both came on sacrifice flies. He walked no one, and he struck out 7. And he did it in 95 pitches.
You know, I think both pitchers, when they knew they were going up against the other, not that these guys need to have anything raise their game, but I bet they both knew that it was going to be a nice challenge out there.
Oh, 1-2 fastball, and Pilar swings and misses. Yesterday, we talked about international baseball. Mississauga, Ontario, the #1 pick of the Miami Marlins, 12th overall. He's a member of that junior home run derby at the Major League Baseball All-Star game. A lot of perfect game and Under Armour action.
Still just 17, hasn't even turned 18 yet.
Josh Naylor, 6 feet 225.
Look forward to maybe seeing the youngster in Miami over the weekend.
Dangerous hitter against left-handed pitching, and he showed it last night. Boca Raton's own Danny Valencia. 2 doubles last night, including a 2-run shot in the first that really got the Blue Jays rolling. They would win the ball game 11-3. Two 2-0 to Valencia.
Funny how things just find their way to come full circle. I remember playing in the off season quite a few years ago in a golf tournament, charity golf tournament, that was put on by Angel Hernandez and Ed Rapuano, and one of the guys in my group was Danny Valencia.
There's Angel Hernandez calling that ball 4. Valencia is down at first. Reyes is up. The Rockies and the Marlins on Thursday night open things up. Saturday spectacular. It starts at 4:10. A lot to do. The postgame concert Gente de Zona is presented by Heineken. Bark at the Park. That's always fun. It's presented by 1-800-PET-MEDS. All you can eat seats as well. For more information, go to marlins.com. Kawasaki, the runner at first. Jose Reyes in the box. Chopper to third. Prado sees this one and gets the out at second. And Mike Dunn works a scoreless 8th to the 9th in Toronto. 3-2 Miami. Honda dealers by Kaiser University. For more information, go to kaiser.edu. And by Florida Coast Equipment, Florida's largest Kubota dealer. Visit us at floridacoasteq.com. Roof open. Rogers Center, formerly Skydome. Munenori Kawasaki will stay in the ball game, and he is at second base. The Blue Jays make a pitching change as well, and on this night of international baseball discussion, why not have an Australian come in, Liam Hendricks. Danny Echeverria, Ichiro, and D. Gordon in the ninth. Marlins by a run. 3 solo homers. 2 by Giancarlo Stanton. 1 by Christian Yelich. Marlins trying to pin a loss on the Blue Jays and even this series at a game apiece. Quickly, it's 0-2. A.J. Ramos in Miami's pen.
Now the Marlins would like to get a little something going. You can get Giancarlo to the plate this inning.
Pitch is out. Swing and a miss. Up to 95 on the fastball. Echeverria goes down. MLB at Bat is the app you need if you're a baseball fan. All your mobile devices. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcast, StatCast, pitch tracking widget. It's always fun. MLB.com at Bat. There's Ichiro tonight, an 0 for 3. Ichiro is slated to play tomorrow. Dan Jennings said he wanted Ichiro in every game here in an American League ballpark. DHing. He was in right field last night. And just thinking towards tomorrow and watching tonight, Marcell Ozuna a couple times favoring that right leg. We might get some DH time for Ozuna tomorrow and Ichiro in center.
Always a possibility.
It's fastball right down the middle.
Ichiro has had like a season's worth of at-bats against Toronto. Came into the game 569 career at-bats against the Blue Jays.
Ooh, that was close. In fact, that was a strike on the black. Ichiro got a break. Counts 2-2. Sends this one to left. Colabello is there to make the catch. Ichiro, of course, the greatest position player to come from Japan into Major League Baseball. And the Marlins brass flew all the way out to sign Ichiro. Ichiro was very appreciative of that. Something he said never happened with the other two teams that he played with in Major League Baseball. 41. Originally signed with Seattle, 2001. He was the Rookie of the Year and the MVP. D. Gordon lines at center field. A dive, no catch. Pilar can't hold it. Gordon stops there. And having watched Pilar make all the highlight film catches in the first 2+ months of the season, you expected him to come up with that one.
Good job by D. Gordon, though, as he rounded first base. He was thinking two. He was thinking try to get to scoring position because he saw the ball just trickle away from Pilar. But it didn't go that far away from him. He picked that up right away and put the brakes on.
Marlins would love to get Stanton to the plate again before the night is done. Gordon might be on the move, and he dives back in. Last night, Tommy Hutton talked about the terrific year that Russell Martin is having throwing to second. Remember, it's Deoner Navarro in there right now. Hendricks quick to the plate, and he gets a strike.
D had that 1 foot off the dirt on the turf portion.
Smoke very good at around the bag, very good with the sweep tag.
Saw a note on Justin Smoke going back to last year. He's played 75 games over there, hasn't committed an error. Very solid.
2 outs in the ninth. Miami up a run. Liam Hendricks. Prado sprays it out towards Kawasaki, who gets the out. So the Marlins take a 1-run lead into the bottom of the ninth against the big bats. Donaldson, Bautista, Encarnacion, AJ warming up. against a brutal lineup of powerful bats. Our H. Gregg high-def highlights. Dan Herron navigated his way through 7 innings, struck out 7, walked no one, 2 runs on just 3 hits.
I tell you what, as you watch the replay of all those pitches, you see no walks, 7 strikeouts. You don't see a pitch that was straight. Everything had tremendous movement.
Mike Dunn handled the 8th, and now A.J. Ramos arrives for the bottom of the 9th. Ramos, since taking over the closer role, is 7 of 7 in save opportunities. And he gets Josh Donaldson, Jose Bautista, Edwin Encarnacion. The Blue Jays so good in this ballpark and really flexed their muscles last night, scoring 11 times. First pitch swing, it's a little looper, right field. Stanton is in, and it falls in front. They'll pick it up, and the Blue Jays have life.
Talked about playing a ball like this on some turf that has a little bounce to it. Ball hit off the end of the bat. Once you realize I can't get there, you got to pull back and play that high hop. Last thing you want to do is allow Donaldson to get to second or third.
And you saw the shrapnel come off the end of the bat on the swing by Donaldson. He broke his bat, and he's at first. Here is Bautista. Ramos misses away. A.J. Ramos has gotten a little bit better every year he's been in the big leagues. Marlins pitching coach Chuck Hernandez has been there for the ride. And yesterday he remarked that the jump that Ramos has made from 2014 to 2015 is with fastball command and control and the ability to limit the walks. Imperative, obviously, for the 9th inning. 1-1. And it's 1-2.
Big rip by Bautista on that breaking ball.
The first of 2 sacrifice flies in the ballgame was Bautista's in the 4th. Encarnacion would drive in a run with a sac fly that inning as well. And that's it for the Blue Jays tonight. One and 2. Checkers postgame. Craig Minervini, Carl Pavano. Giancarlo has gone deep twice. Dan Herron turns in another masterful performance. And right now A.J. Ramos is trying to save it to even this series. He's 1-2 on Bautista. And he got him. There's the first out.
That looked like the changeup. Good changeup, good location. And he got Bautista to swing over it.
Well, strikeouts out of the bullpen. Only Aroldis Chapman has more in the National League. Now Encarnacion. He has a dozen homers. Drives it. Center. Deep. Ozuna. It's gone. It's over. And the Blue Jays walk off.
Well, this team is hot. They have some muscle. They have a lot of home run threats throughout that lineup.
It took just 2 hours and 16 minutes, and it ended in a hurry, and it ended with a long home run from Edwin Encarnacion, a 2-run shot. And despite 2 homers from Giancarlo Stanton, the Blue Jays have now won 7 in a row, and this, the deciding blow, the Warren Henry drive of the game. Ramos turning, knew it.
Now remember, Encarnacion spent 2 or 3 days not playing with soreness in his shoulder. Had a quarter zone shot, DHing tonight, and as he headed toward the scrum after rounding third, he kept pointing to that shoulder. Hey, don't mess with this. Look at that, look at that. Don't touch that shoulder, it's still sore. Well, not sore enough to go deep. Wow.